Good evening. Welcome to the 2021 Senior Show remote reception. Hold on one second. Let me just close this door. Do you know the gallery has a pool back there? As I was saying, welcome. We're going to hear from a group of wonderful seniors this evening. Before we do that, let me give you a quick look around the gallery. Good evening. How's everybody out there? Use those emojis. I don't know. This is different than last year. Oh, or thumbs up, as Sarah, just like this, right? Can everybody hear me? We good? All systems go? Welcome. I'm Chris St.Cyr. Those of you who don't know me, I'm an associate professor of graphic design at the College of St. Rose. I'm also creative director, and my new venture is because I had nothing better to do, I started a podcast. So if you're interested in hearing about what graphic design students do after they graduate, you can subscribe to that podcast. It's called Design Futures. We need to thank some people. We got some announcements before we hear from the students. First, I need to thank my family. Thank Flamingo, for staying off the Wi-Fi, for letting me use this room. There's an Xbox right over there. So, this gotta thank, where's my baker? Tyler. Thanks to Kelly, Jackson, and Tyler. Those of you, Tyler. Sorry, this is on a marble platter. So Tyler's the baker in the family. He made all the seniors a cake. So everybody's name's on it, but you probably won't get a piece. I'm gonna eat it all. Tyler, come say hi. No, come on over here. Over here, the camera. That's Tyler. That's the baker.
Good time.
All right. Who else? We need to thank, of course, all of my colleagues at the Center for Art and Design. Amazing group of people. Thanks for all their support for this event. I know we've all spent a lot of time on Zoom, but thank you all for being here. I can't see everybody, but I'm sure we're well represented. And I want to say a special thank you to three particular individuals who are officially retiring this year: Lucy Bowditch, Ann Brisnell, and Tom Santelli, for all your years of service and for helping all the students, and particularly seniors, make it through this particular event. Thanks to Aaron Sickler, the gallery director, all the gallery assistants, the graduate students, the work study students, and Rob O'Neill's gallery management class. They all helped put together this event or the show that you saw, which we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see, who else? Oh, of course, we want to thank all the students, but couple individuals that we should call out here. Megan Thomasman, where are you? Wave. Some of you can see Megan. Megan designed the poster and all the graphics that go along with the show. So thank you. And I'm gonna give a little shout out to Youssef for helping with organize this, and particularly the slideshow that we're using for tonight to see some of the artwork up close. And of course the Zoom audience. There's a whole bunch of faces I don't recognize. I'm glad you made it, friends and family. Thanks to all the St. Rose community, people who are, maybe not associated with the Center for Art and Design, the administrators, the alumni. I saw a few names out there. There's some alumni here tonight, and of course all the amazing families that are supporting these seniors. I got 2 minutes before we get to Youssef. Let's see, announcements. I will put this in the chat. Where's the chat? Where's my chat? There's too many buttons and things on my screen. Where'd my chat go? There it is. All right. You should, as you saw from the intro video, there is work in the gallery. There are some protocols there that are in the chat, and you can go to the website to get some of those details about when the gallery is open. You'll have to call to get into the building if you don't have a St. Rose ID, which some of you probably do not. And there is a link there to the exhibition website, which has student work and student portfolios as well. What else is in here? So we'll use the chat function tonight. There are a lot of students. Great, thank you for all signing up. That means we have about 6 minutes per student, which for me, it's gonna go by really quick. For all of you, if you spend the whole time on Zoom, some of you are pros at it by now. It might be long, but I assure you for me, it's gonna go by really quick. So if you do have questions for your particular artist in your family or a friend, maybe put them in the chat now or send them directly to me through the chat so that when we hear from a particular student, there's a question there waiting for them. So that's it. Looks like I'm making pretty good time. Hold on, I gotta share my screen again. More technology. We got this one and then this one. There we go. Is everybody seeing? You all seeing just the slide, or hold on? Are you seeing just the slide? Yes. Good. You don't want to see behind the scenes all my presentation stuff. All right, Youssef. Oh my God, I knew I was gonna mess it up. Abdel Majid. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Of course, when I'm on the spot, I'm like, Youssef, where are you? Wave to everybody so they could see you.
Hello.
Youssef, you're graduating, you're a senior. You're all seniors. Hopefully you're all seniors. So I'll give you get a couple of minutes. Tell us about your project, give us the introduction, and then I'm gonna ask you some random questions that have nothing to do with your project. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, what's your project about?
Okay, so my project, A Visual Guide to Idiomatic Phrases, is a book that I worked on, which is intended to be a design that makes idioms more accessible to non-native English speakers. And basically the format of this book is it has idioms that are very common and that are well used, grouped into this visual or illustrated dictionary. And then along with it is the definition and an example for how it can be used, and the illustration reinforces or supports that example. Yeah, so that's my project.
That's it. Somebody says so cool. Love the illustrations and idea. Um, so I, I wanted to ask you about the most common idioms. So in your experience, like creating this book, are these the ones that are the most common? How did
No.
you come up with this list that, I mean, I'm sure the list is longer, but how did you come up with this? Or what are the most common ones that you found in your research?
Yeah, so this is definitely not an exhaustive list by any way. There's thousands of idioms that are used, and like I found that depending on like certain areas or certain cultures or like groups of people use certain idioms more than others. So it was really the way like I grouped these idioms was I just continued to research and collected idioms and like picked the ones that kept showing up more and more, and like were more common based on like who I asked or like what I searched up. But I definitely think this is a type of book that could continue to you can continue to add more to it, and that's another thing that I like about it.
Is there a
Um,
specific audience for the book?
so my audience is anybody who has learned English um, specifically for this book and is looking to expand their understanding of idioms. So maybe they have like the basic understanding and can communicate English very well, but might be missing out on certain like conversations or might not be like that could become a barrier to them is just in certain everyday conversations they miss out because they don't necessarily understand or have the context to understand a lot of these idioms. And I think for me personally, that was definitely something I struggled with because I grew up in a bilingual household and I learned English and Arabic at the same time. And I learned, I guess, like the basic format and I could like speak very well. But I think like with when it came to idioms, there's like a disconnect. And I think because of like the nature of idioms, you can't really understand. There's no way to know their intended meaning just through the literal understanding of the words. You really have to have conversations with other people
Mhm.
and learn over time. So this book was supposed to be a way to like go past that and like help people just learn it without necessarily being in all of those conversations. Um,
Mhm. Okay. Let's see if let me check the chat. It's a great way to catch up on new slangs. Yeah, new slangs. You know, I, some of the other faculty can vouch for me here. Like I have to have Urban Dictionary on my phone because sometimes students say things in class and I have no idea what they're talking about. So maybe in your graduate work, you know, you do a follow up to this, and it's like the audience is faculty. You know, how to understand what the students are talking about in the classroom. Um, we got a few seconds left. I did want to ask you about working at a Coolian. What's your most interesting project that you've worked at your internship slash part time graphic design job?
Most interesting project.
Anything stand out?
I remember working at a Coolian. There was a project where we had a social media campaign for the University of South Florida,
Mm,
and they basically wanted to create a series of like I guess like posts that
mm,
would like celebrate the holidays and also like highlight the University of South Florida. This project had a lot of like creative freedom, and it was interesting because like what it came down to was creating these ugly Christmas sweaters or ugly holiday sweaters, which were very quirky and fun. Like each one like talked about a specific part of like USF or Florida or like highlighted something, but at the same time it could be like something that you could wear to an ugly sort of party stuff.
very cool. All right, we gotta say goodbye to Youssef. Don't go anywhere. All right. Where's Griffin? Griffin Bengraph. So Griffin, Where are you? Say hello.
Hello.
Your audio's good. Um, Griffin, the only representative of the Bachelor of Science in Digital Media Arts degree. So, okay, no pressure there. What's your project about, Griffin?
So Pocket Uni is actually it's a prototype app I made last year. Basically, I came up with this idea. It's a community-driven application. My college students, we have all these things to check. We have, email, Canvas, classes, Canvas inbox, navigate, and I just kind of thought like to put it all into one app. So it's just a great place to keep track of classes. And as I said, it's community oriented. So people can place events and you can see things on the map. So yeah, this is a project that I expanded on in the senior show. So I added augmented reality to it. So you can go to the part of the app, walk down the road, and go to an event. So one of the events I did, which was very fitting, was for Empire State Youth Orchestra. So basically, you get to walk to this event. So in this video, we'll just kind of take you through the app. So we find an event. These events can be placed by your institution or just by other students or clubs. So as you can see, we click on event right here and on augmented reality. So we'll see what that looks like. This is kind of coming in a time where everything is so distant right now. Just kind of like make it feel, more community oriented, like things are, right next door, you can see the buildings that you're walking by and just kind of engage with college a bit more. So in this case, we're going to a virtual concert. So as I was saying with Empire State Youth Orchestra, this is an event, it's a virtual event. So instead of a performance that is live with actual people shoulder to shoulder, this is an opportunity to go to virtual ones. And this performance is actually one that I made for the organization. I was the creative director. The first 360-degree at-home performance ever. So I'm super excited that I could kind of combine this all into one app. And they perform in the Massry Center. So it kind of it's really amazing that I could kind of put this all together. So yeah, so that's the performance, and you can scan that code on your phone if you take out your camera. You probably won't have enough time to do it.
So,
yeah,
but this actually works though, right? Like
it does. So that video is a real video.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about your work with, it's pronounced SEO? Is that how you?
Correct. Yep.
So what is that, and
yep,
what have you done with it?
So Empire State Youth Orchestra, going around the community, they perform at the Massry Center. Basically, they just inspire youth to create excellence through music. And I basically I'm the web designer, and for this virtual festival, I was the creative director. So we were kind of scratching our heads because COVID upset absolutely everything. So it's kind of my job to do something really creative in this time. So
great. We got fabulous. Congratulations. Fantastic. Agree so much. Crazy cool concept. But
it was
no question. It was what?
It was hard. It was one of those things where we kind of brainstormed what to do. And Carlos Agreda, he's the music director that I worked with for this.
Great.
Took a lot of hours.
Before I let you go, is Taylor here? Taylor show up? Where's Taylor?
Hi, Chris.
Where are you? You're not on my screen. All right, we got to say goodbye to Griffin. Good job. All right, where's Taylor? Where are you? You're not on my screen.
I'm here.
Where's here? I was gonna try to spotlight you so people could see you.
I see you.
I don't see you. Where's Taylor?
You can't see me?
Yeah, I got you. There you go. Okay, you're spotlight. Did my assistant get you? All right. Next up, Taylor Bach. What are we talking about?
We are talking about my senior thesis project.
What is this?
So my senior thesis project was Barwise. So I created a simulation app that is a tool to teach people the basics of bartending through more of a simulated environment. So if you have no experience or looking for advanced knowledge, this app will help you hone in real world skills that could potentially improve performance in the workplace. I imagine this system to be so sophisticated that it could actually be used by bar owners in the workplace to train new onboards. Or of course, you can just try it at home. But so here's the video here. This is the login screen.
Oh, hold on, let me see. What's this one?
This one is, so you go in, you choose your level, you choose your drink.
Hold on, okay. I'll play the video. I found the video.
Okay.
Although it's slow. Hold on, let me speed it
Yeah,
up.
you can definitely speed it up. That's what I was gonna do. So here you choose your level. Here you choose what drink you want to prepare. I designed 3 different drinks for this application. So you will see martini, an old fashioned, and a Negroni. This is kind of like an instruction card. This is what the person is supposed to study before going and actually going through the simulation.
So we've studied and now we're taking the test.
Now you're taking the test.
Quiz.
So it's actually timed. So you, and then you're being quizzed on if you choose the correct class. So you're just going in and creating this drink exactly how you would if you were stuck in a bar.
And a sound.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that when I was watching it earlier. I'm like, what is that sound?
So the user needs to memorize the exact measurement.
Is it playing? No, it's not playing.
The glass fills. And now you choose your garnish, of course. Hit
Can I get 3 olives?
ask the bartender. And you see your time. It gives you your overall score. And then you go on to choose your next drink.
All right. I think that's the only other slide.
Mhm.
So I did read on your resume, right? You're seasoned bartender. Is that right? Have you
A
bartended?
little bit of experience, but not
A little bit. What's the easiest drink to mix?
a martini.
Oh,
Easy.
it is. Oh, that's why it's on here. What's the most complex one?
The most complex one on the list that I chose was probably the Long Island, honestly, because it's a lot of different drinks. Well, just for me, I'm a beginner too.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Old fashioned, interesting. I didn't expect you made it that way.
Oh, all right. So how did you decide on this topic? Because that's you've been working in the restaurant industry, or
Yeah, I waitress last these past few years, and I thought it would be nice to kind of be able to practice your skills outside of the workplace if you wanted to improve yourself. And most bartender trainees don't know kind of the recipes or the drinks at the workplace. So if they could kind of go on to this application and practice outside of work, kind of get better at it so you can succeed better in the workplace. And and of course, like, you can work on how fast you make the drinks, of course, and just
Who's Shauna?
That's my mother.
Oh, Shauna said, what did she say? Awesome. Awesome. No, amazing. Oh, thanks, Mom. All right, you got like 30 seconds. You're an art history minor. Favorite period in art history. Careful, there's some art historians on the call here.
I'm gonna go with Art Deco.
Oh, Art Deco, huh? I don't know. How do we feel about that, Lucy? All right, thanks. Thanks, Taylor.
Congratulations to everybody.
Next up, Isabella Burnett. Although it's not Isabella, it's Bella. We prefer Bella.
Bella.
Okay, so just a heads up to everybody. This is where the program gets really interesting because, as I mentioned, I'm an associate professor of graphic design. Bella's not a graphic design student. So the questions might get strange, or I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Tell us about your project, Bella. What's in the gallery?
So I have two works in the gallery. One is this one here, and then another is a wall piece. But I started really thinking about kind of, I've always liked to work with textiles and things. And I like to shop like at home stores and things and look for like connections to my family and my house, or things that remind me of like my grandmother. But then it's kind of interesting too, because a lot of the times I'm sourcing these things from like they're used goods by other people. So kind of just like playing with those ideas and textiles and different textures and transforming that.
Mm-hmm. And so so all of this is found. Is any of it your own? Because you wrote in your artist statement.
A little bit. So this, the base of this piece is actually a chair that I believe belonged to my great grandmother. And I had it in my room. I was using it and it just started breaking. So it became the structure for everything else. And there's also some balloons that were from my grandmother's 90th birthday this past fall. And then this piece is all found materials. And I think this one's a little bit more reflective of kind of like my own identity. And I think like growing up in like an ever-changing feminist world, and just finding like these weird, they're nipple covers for when you like don't want to wear a bra. And I just thought that was a great material to kind of like inject amongst all the other fabric and things.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, color combinations, interesting family history embedded in the work. That's what Susan Meyer says. So can you talk a little bit more about your family history and identity and how that influences the things that you make?
I actually want to shout out Dr. Shane, because in Art and Buddhism this semester, we read an excerpt from Bell Hook's Yearning. And in that, they talk about how the things we have like every day in our homes kind of build our own aesthetic experience. And so I kind of like think about that. And I think my family type isn't very traditional in growing up, and only seeing like fragments of my family at different times, and kind of trying to like build who I am and still keep those roots, and trying to learn more about my family, but having to do it in like a different type of process.
And so you talked about in your artist statement I was reading, you mentioned a lot about the materials. Can you talk about the shapes that are formed here? Like, so this one is hanging on the wall in the gallery, right? And the other one is on a pedestal. So how does the shape come about? How do you decide this is going to be on the wall or this is going to be on a pedestal, or, you know, where is it going to exist? How does that happen?
I usually move things around a lot when I'm working. Like something might start, I don't know if this one, but the wall piece, like it might be upside down, or it's just two pieces of fabric to start with, and then eventually I've switched to this semester doing a lot of hand stitching, just because it's a different type of control in relationship with like the needle. Um, and I think that's helped bring out a more gestural form within the work as well, because it's kind of, I'm trying to dictate it, but more so I think the materials tell me where they have to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're so varied, right? If you have like some denim or some silk or some plastic, right? That it's you want to try to work with it. It's interesting. Susan asked a question. I have that in my notes too. Where do you take this? What's the future? Maybe she was asking about future plans, but I was thinking about, like, is there a next iteration of this, or maybe that ties into your future plans?
I think the work I've been doing since these have come up have been kind of similar and along similar lines, but towards Susan's question, I'll be an MFA candidate at Alfred University next year in their sculptural dimensional studies program.
All right, congratulations. More school. More.
Yes, more school.
At some point you have to stop though. All right, that's Bella. Congrats, Bella.
Thank you.
Next up is Jude.
Hello.
Dano? Did I
Danielle.
pronounce it? What?
Danielle.
Danielle. Danielle. I should be better at the French name. Danielle. Of course, I don't pronounce my last name as St.Cyr, but Jude, welcome. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so this is my painting work. I also have some photo work in the show, but my painting work is kind of an exploration of like my day-to-day life. I collect these like ephemera that I find, collage them, and then paint them, and then kind of repeat that process until I'm satisfied with the painting, I guess. So this specific piece I like started with, you can see on the left, the process is really important to my work. So on the left, I have my sketches in a chronological order to what led up to the final piece. So at the top left, you can see a collage I made by scanning things that I'd found. Like some of it's like a Pokemon card my brother gave me, like a ribbon that I found from my family's house, or some old thing I found at a thrift store. And I collage those on a scanning bed to get a composition I like, and then I slowly like redraw them, work them until I get a composition I like, and I paint it. Yeah.
So, okay, so we have to go back to the Pokemon card. That wasn't like one of those valuable ones, right? It's like $1,000 Pokemon card.
No, I think that one's probably worth like 10 cents.
Okay, good. Phew. There's some collectors out there crying. You know. Love Jude's solo show this year. Excellent. That's in the comments.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at this other one. So it's a little hard to see here, but there's smaller photographs. So this is very different than what we just saw. So you tell us about this?
Yeah, so I also do photography. In specific, I like to do pinhole photography. Kind of inspired by my father, who he built a lot of pinhole cameras, and I just grew up watching him make pinhole photographs. And so I kind of, I actually used his pinhole cameras for these photographs. And I would shoot like toys or miniatures or double expose the paper to get like a weird fictional childhood type feeling. And that's pretty much the premise of the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's the strangest thing you made a pinhole camera from?
I've made a pinhole camera from.
Yeah, have you made some? Or you just
No,
recently?
I've made a few, but I've never really gotten them to work. I mainly use my dad's pinhole cameras. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just pick up your iPhone. It's much easier. um, so where? So I did. Where's my question here? Oh, so my question, going back to this other one. I'm curious about like the part where you're finding all these pieces of packaging and receipts, and there's some other language in your artist statement. I'm curious to know what your conversations are like with your graphic design classmates, and how they feel about the ephemera, the ephemera that they make or they will make in their future jobs, and ending up as trash and then becoming in art. Like, have you had those conversations with your classmates?
I've never had a conversation like that.
No,
It's really interesting to think about, though. Yeah.
I think you should, like, like they I don't know how they feel about that. Do you seek out certain types of like brands, or is it more just whatever you find? Like, how do you decide on what that found object? How do you decide what ends up in your work?
I think the first thing is it dirty? Like, is it gross? Like, I don't like picking up things that have like food on them or like a lot of excessive dirt. um, uh, and most of it's like just garbage, like literally from things I eat, things I buy. I'm not really too nitpicky about what I take. Sometimes I like rip pieces off of certain things. But yeah, and I usually collect them in like plastic bags, and then once the plastic bag's like thick enough, I take out all the pieces, rearrange them, scan them.
So you're more responding to them rather than like planning ahead and seeking out certain colors or patterns or shapes and things. We got less than a minute, but I do have to ask because Jude has and Rosina, his screen partner there. Maybe I'll ask her too later on. You were a graphic design work study student for a couple years. Any insights into the graphic design world, hanging all that work on the third floor?
It's made hanging work in my studio a lot easier.
You're a professional at it now? Is that it? Is that what you're telling me?
Feel pretty professional at this point.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know. Let's see. How does it make you feel bringing home trash? I don't know. I think we all have lots of trash, right? Jessica Loy says thank you, and to Rosina. Yeah, we really appreciate all your work and helping us organize those wall spaces for sure. I know your thumbs are probably screaming at you these days. All right, thanks, Jude.
Thank you.
Allie DeRusso. Allie, right?
Hi.
Not Allison. You
Yeah.
for Allie. Where's Allie?
I'm here.
So what are we talking about, Allie?
So this is my printmaking piece that's in the show. I explore themes of impermanence within our lives, specifically kind of towards like lost loved ones. I think about a lot, and thinking about how we continue to honor and remember as we grow and change. So this piece, I kind of started with like the bigger form on the wall and working through pieces of that, and then started making these smaller pieces on the ground. And the pieces on the ground, I consider kind of these memory stones where they encapsulate like different memories and points in my life, using imagery from past and present, photographs and drawings that I've done. Yeah.
Let's see, this is the same
Yeah,
piece,
that's just
right?
a side view of it.
Yeah. And so how do you decide on what ends up on the wall and what ends up on the floor? How does that happen?
I guess like I kind of was making them like separately. So I had like the larger felt pieces that were on the wall and started combining them together, and then had started making the smaller pieces on the ground kind of separately, and then ended up putting them together in one piece.
So are the ones on the floor, are they attached or are they all separate?
They're all separate.
So if you were to put this in another show, would they be on the same configuration, or do you change that depending on the space or?
It can change, yeah, like depending on the space, or just like naturally they're probably not going to be in the same exact position, and the wall piece is kind of similar in the way it's difficult to kind of get it to hang in the same exact way every single time. So that kind of goes back to some of the concepts I think about of the impermanence and changing. The piece kind of changes wherever it goes.
Mhm. And this is some of your photography work?
Yeah, so since I'm a dual concentrate, this is some of my photo work, and kind of following along similar ideas as my printmaking work. This one focuses more on objects and from like that conjure memories for me basically, or have like significance and importance to me. And so the left panel in these diptychs signifies kind of the past, and then in the object is kind of more dominant within the photograph, and then in the right panel the object sort of less dominant and signifies the present, where the memory is more distant from my current time now. Yeah.
And how what are these based on? Are they based on are they all portraits of you?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're also portraits.
Yeah. And so are these all from your memories, or from made on Midori's, or?
They're based on, yeah, memories or objects that are important to me, or signify memories basically. And then there's like little typewriter text under, you can't really see it in the photo. There's a little typewriter text underneath all of them, and that relates to the memory as well.
So is that an actual typewriter, or is that
Yeah,
like a
it is.
typeface font? Okay. So do you have a typewriter?
Yeah, I got it at the
Nice.
thrift store. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Those, they can be expensive. Some of those
Yeah, I got mine for $5. So
that's the
it's
deal.
a deal, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Now you just got to find some ribbon. When it runs out, then
Yeah,
that would be the
ribbons
charge.
are kind of expensive, so yeah.
People looking forward to seeing this. Yeah, this is one that's definitely some of the smaller pieces here in the slideshow. Definitely worth going to the gallery. Let's see, got a few minutes left. Let's see. So again, for me, it's all about graphic design. But no, there's some interesting people here in this group, and so I'm gonna ask Allie about going on the graphic design trip to London. I went on I didn't go on the last one that you went on, but I've been, and I don't ever remember hearing about any fine art or studio student going on the graphic design London trip. What was that like for you? Why did you decide to go? Like, what can you talk about that?
I've always just wanted to go to London for like a long time for some reason. It was very fascinated to go there and kind of experience that. And I love to travel. And I'm friends with a lot of the graphic designers. So, it seemed like a fun trip to go on with them, and also to be able to see like the graphic designers go to a lot of the fine art museums there anyway, like the Tate and the like National Museum and everything there. So I was able to see a lot of fine art there with their itinerary anyway. And then Jessica and Anne kind of allowed me to go off on my own with Christian, because he also came along and he's a studio art major. And we kind of got to go to other galleries if we wanted to, if they were going to a graphic design studio. But I did go to the Special Projects design studio, and I thought their work was really interesting, because they kind of had a lot of their work was a little more, I guess, physical based, or like process, like very process based. So I thought their work was interesting.
Yeah, really conceptual. A lot of the work that they were doing there. All right. We're on to the next one. Thanks, Allie.
You're welcome.
Bye. Victoria Dillman.
Hello.
It's Tori though, right?
Yes, I go by Tori.
Yeah. Where are you? Are you on the screen?
Here. Hello.
Do I see you? I can't find you on the screen.
I'm currently spotlighted.
Oh, you are. There you are.
Show
on the first screen. That's why I can't find you. So tell us about what's in the gallery.
So most of my work is about storytelling. A lot of it has been about family history. Shortly before I started college, my grandfather passed away. And so a lot of my early work in art school was kind of trying to preserve his memory. And I took a pivot and decided to study art therapy. That's my current minor. And I had a professor tell me a few months ago that you're telling all of these stories, but you're not telling your story. And as an if you're going to be going into art therapy, which at the time was the plan, it seems kind of inauthentic to tell people to use art and then kind of not do that for your own story. So I grew up a church kid in evangelical Christian circles and went through Christian school, church. My family was at church almost every Sunday. And I had a really rough time of it. It became very toxic and abusive. And because of that, for a period, stepped away. I left the school and I left the church for various things. And so I decided to kind of deconstruct some of those ideas that I had grown up with. Purity culture and patriarchy, and just some really harmful teachings that I had to unpack when I got to college and wasn't under the umbrella of my, parents and the church anymore. So this piece is a chronological study of the things that I have experienced and had to unpack as an adult, starting at about 8 years old, and it ends when I turned 17. This particular,
want to go back? Yeah.
That particular moment is an ode to my kindergarten teacher. Her name was Mrs. Weber, and I loved her very much. So it's a larger piece made up of very specific memories or portraits, each of which has very particular memories or experiences associated with the image or object.
So can you, you're using the word portrait. So can you talk about what that means for this work? Like, portrait in terms of like a lot of people would think of like a person, a face, head and shoulders kind of photograph or illustration.
Yeah, I like to think of a lot of these moments as portraits of people in my life, both good and bad, who have shaped me or contributed to experiences that have shaped me. You'll see in the top piece on that kind of navy skirt, there are 3 portraits of men. I do not know these men. However, they very much were the founders of the style of education that I went through. And unfortunately, because of that part of education, there are significant gaps in my understanding of a lot of things that I've had to learn through college. So again, I don't know them, but they have shaped who I am. And so their physical portraits are something that and their names and their effects on my life are something that I've had to work through. And then there's much less objective portraits, moments or physical objects that remind me of a person, or quotes, or prints of objects that remind me of a person and the mark they've had on my life, whether good or bad.
Great. Yeah, lots of comments about this. Enjoy seeing the work that expresses your personal experience with religion, spirituality. Proud you unpacked this in this piece. great to see your progression of your work. So lots of wonderful, proud comments there. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's very personal, and it's certainly definitely something to explore in art therapy, right? So all the best with that exploration, certainly. Thank you. All right, who's next? Hannah. Where's Hannah?
Hi.
Is Hannah here?
Can you see me?
I didn't see you earlier. Here, let's pin you. No, you're spotlighted. Okay, there you are, Hannah Jackson.
Hey.
Puppies.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love puppies? What's this about?
So I did an exploration of self and cultural identity. And I portrayed that story through this dog who's sort of a mutt, and they go to the dog park, and then they realize like one of the dogs asks like, oh, what kind of dog are you? And he's like, oh, I never thought about that before. So then he sort of has like a identity crisis sort of, and then his owner sort of helps them realize that there's more to them than just what they look like or what they identify as, and the most important thing is that they're loved by their owner.
And so go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I wrote and illustrated a book, and then I also did a survey, and I asked, it was about like 60 people, and I asked them to fill in like I am blank, and then they answered it like 20 different times, and then that's what the infographic is. Mm-hmm. Just displays that information.
And so all the questions were about identity. And
no, it was just I am blank. Okay. And then they had to answer that 20 times.
Okay, I see.
Themselves.
All right. So hold on, I gotta find my notes. That's when let's look at the chat. Some link in the chat to the New York Times. Somebody click on that and see what's going on there. Where am I? So the survey, I'm wondering about the survey. Did you have any kind of assumptions about what you would find when people answer that question? Who am I? Just based on your experience or the society that you live in, your family, your friends, people you were sending the link to. Do you have any assumptions about what you might discover, and what surprises were there?
A lot of people, I think the most popular answer was that they were hardworking, and a lot of things had to do with somebody's job or what they like to do, which was very surprising, and not necessarily about them. It was more about like a hobby, which surprised me a lot. But one of my friends, I asked her to fill out the survey for me, and she was like, I don't know who I am, so I'm not going to do that. And I was like, just think about it and fill it out. And she was like, I don't want to. I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, I guess.
Yeah, that one's, yeah. How do you, I guess my response would be, yeah, I think we're all a work in progress, right? I mean, just fill it out, right? I don't know who I am. Sometimes I guess it depends on the day or the moment, right? Yeah. So how did you come up with, or how did you decide on the book format, the story of the dog, and were there other metaphors or other symbols that you explored as far as storytelling before you landed on the book that you did create?
Yeah, so I had a few different concepts, and then I knew I kind of wanted to make a children's book, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted the content, I wasn't sure what character I wanted to represent this idea. So I landed on a dog, just thinking that there are so many dogs that don't have a definitive breed. And me, I have a ton of dogs. So
Big
Um,
dogs, I remember, right?
Yeah.
Really large dogs, yeah.
And also, so like I come from a very diverse ethnic background, and a lot of people helped like raise me and make me who I am. So when people ask me like, or when I try to identify as something, someone will be like, "No, you're not that," and it's kind of like, I'm like, who are you to tell me that I'm not that, you know? So I just thought a dog would be a simple and relatable way to sort of um, like explain that information. And I also was conscious to make sure that the dog didn't have a name throughout the book. Um, I don't know if I said if it had a gender or not, but I just tried to keep everything as neutral as possible and just to focus on what made the dog up what it was rather than specific labels.
Right. Somebody says we're all mutts. Yeah, we're all so different in our own unique ways. Somebody said that, I forget, it might have been one of the faculty said that the survey was challenging, right? When you're like, who am I? You know, definitely a lot of people probably don't think about that until they're sent a link from a student. It's like, oh, now I have to, I thought I was just going to relax right now. Now I have to think about who I am, right? Oh boy. Um, well, we all got to go think about that. Who are we? Hopefully you all get to get into the gallery and see the book and flip through all the pages and read the story. Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah, also my book, I got it published and it's available on Amazon. And I think there's a link to that on the senior show website.
Nice. All right. Published, self-published author extraordinaire, Hannah Jackson. Matt, where's Matt Law?
I'm right here. Hi.
Matthew. Where are you? There you are.
Hello.
Matt. What are we we're talking about coffee. Is
Yeah,
it coffee break time?
Yeah, we're talking about coffee. So my
Hold on, let's go back to Taylor's. I need a martini, not coffee. No. What's your project about?
So I based it sort of on the idea of like ordering at a coffee shop. It sort of comes from my personal experience of like working as a barista for about 3 years now. Many people don't actually know a lot about coffee or like what's in certain drinks. So I always get asked the question, what's in that? When talking to customers about like any drink that isn't just like standard coffee. So I sort of made this book to act as a guide for just about everything that can be found at a standard coffee shop, and sort of give an in-depth look at everything that goes into certain drinks so that readers can sort of have a newfound confidence when they're going to like order coffee.
So what's the I'll ask the same question as Taylor. What's the most complicated coffee drink to make?
Oh, the frozen beverages are awful because you have to like put everything in a blender and like you have to like scoop it out and you have to put like everything that they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they really coffee drinks at that point?
Not it's made with like a coffee syrup, so like I don't know. I don't know exactly what's like in the coffee syrup. I know it's caffeinated, so there has to be some coffee in it.
There's some coffee. There's a lot of ice cream, a lot of syrup, a lot of whipped cream. It's like a shake or something.
Oh yeah, it's
yeah.
It's like a coffee milkshake.
Yeah. So somebody's saying sugar with a side of coffee. Love the typography. So how did you decide on like there is a lot of different kind of exploration of I guess hand-drawn type. How did you decide on how to illustrate the type?
So I looked at a lot of like coffee shop chalkboards. Like that's a lot from like just a bunch of different places, and that's sort of where I drew a lot of inspiration for the visuals for like the book. And I think that sort of just drove the whole concept throughout the book and just experimenting with different type styles and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you actually draw on a chalkboard, or is this all digital?
No, this was all digital. It was done on an iPad.
Oh, it just looks like it's chalk, right?
Yeah.
So, do you actually drink coffee?
Yeah, I
You
drink
do.
coffee.
Okay. What's your preference?
I
Straight
love
black,
cold brew with like a little bit of cream.
cold brew with cream. I see some
Yeah,
heads out
I
there.
don't like
Yeah.
hot coffee. I don't like hot coffee. I like iced coffee. Cold brew is better than iced coffee.
Yeah. Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Starbucks. Starbucks has better coffee. Dunkin' is better for some things, but not a lot.
Oh, okay. Um, where are we with time? Where Trader? Somebody says Trader. I don't know. What does that mean? Cold brew, Starbucks. Yeah, I don't know. I would go with Starbucks on that one. Um, so what coffee has the most caffeine if you're making an
Um,
espresso drink?
I would say cold brew. You can get because it like you steep it for a really long time, and it's like
Ah,
supposed to extract all of the like grounds and stuff from like the beans. So it's supposed to extract all the flavor and caffeine from the like ground beans. So
mhm. So in the gallery is the book, not the break.
yeah, the gallery has the book
The book.
like on a little stand in front of the spreads on the wall. So
Okay.
if you want to like flip through it, you can.
All right. We are coming up to the break, and let's see. I'm gonna check the chat here. People are. I don't know. Trader. What? Duncan.
Sarah said trader because I've been working at Dunkin' for the past 3 years, and I said I like Starbucks more.
So his question: how did you print the book? Did you? It looks like a professionally printed book, not
Yeah,
something
I
you
got
might
it
do
through Blurb.
through Blurb. Okay, great. All right. And how many copies did you get?
Wait, oh, I
How many?
got two. Sorry. Yeah,
Not
I
coffees. Copies.
thought you said coffees.
No. You got a couple. Okay, good. All right. It is time for break, maybe coffee break. I don't know. It's evening. What time is it? It's, 6 o'clock. Time for coffee or martini. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I can take my break. And at that point we'll start with Tien. Tien Lei. You around? All right. I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, we're back. I was checking the chat. There's lots of good comments. There's some links in the chat. If you don't have the chat on, check it out. Josh Terry, an alumni. Another silver lining of the remote world. Really enjoy hearing about the process, concepts, all the important stuff. Yeah, I think, we learned this last year, when we did this on Instagram Live, that interviewing or just hearing from the students as a group was something that we don't typically haven't done that in the past. That opening receptions, we gather and it's very social. We have some wine and cheese and we look at the work. So yeah, this is different, and it's also, yeah, it's a good chance to hear from these talented artists and designers. So let's get back to it. Hopefully you had your coffee or your martini or whatever. Tien Lei, where are you? There you are.
I'm right here.
You're unmuted now.
Yes.
Tell us about these pieces hanging on the wall.
These pieces are like kind of a smaller part of my practice, the practice that I maintained throughout the 4 year, like the past 2 year college. These are like I consider them as a vessel for my emotions. And it's kind of a record of how much I grow each day and how much I change as a person and just kind of grow into loving myself more each day. Also, I suffer from a lot of anxiety, and sometimes emotion can be very overwhelmed. And I think like I find comfort in material, and I find that to put this fear into a physical form, it's easier for me to confront them and like attempt to reconcile with these emotions, and just to accept these emotions as part of who I am and not run away from it.
Mm-hmm. So when you're creating these kinds of projects, these works, are you consciously thinking about certain emotions that you've experienced recently, or?
Uh, yes. For my past project of past work, I think a lot about memory and then past trauma. But like recently, I was thinking about me every day. I think my mood can change really quickly. So sometimes when I do art, emotion just kind of came naturally, and I use it and just the material that I have in my reach and just kind of bound them together and create things for it, to kind of appreciate these emotions that make me a more complex human being.
Yeah. So Gina asked, are parts methodically woven or crocheted? Is this a soothing activity for you? Is it calming?
Yes,
Does it relieve your anxiety?
yes, I feel them extremely calming, but sometimes it's very frustrated too because I don't use conventional way to woven them together or put them together. It's just whatever I can, whatever material that I have, within my reach, I'm just kind of use it to bound them somehow together. So they're very fragile, they are very impermanent, and it's very difficult to carry them to the studio or carry them out the studio because they're constantly changing.
And so when that happens, does your anxiety take over and you want to put it back the way it was that you created it in your studio? Or how do you deal with that as an artist? Like, you created this thing and you're very meticulous and you're weaving these things, and then you transport it and it changes. Does that bother you at all?
At first it did because I want everything to be exactly the way I thought in my head. But you know how impermanent these work are. I kind of learn from them to accept the way they are and just kind of put them back how they want to be and not how I want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting looking at these because they're very bright, and we normally associate like all these bright, beautiful colors with something cheerful, but you're talking about like anxiety and some other kinds of emotions that we might not associate with that. So can you talk about the color choices?
Yes, I love colorful thing. I really identify myself with colorful items. And because of these emotions, sometimes can be deemed as negative and to be some have like negative connotation behind them. I want to bring color into this fear of mine or the anxiety of mine as something very beautiful, very like powerful. And I want to embrace them because I think they very really help me to be like appreciative of like beautiful moment, like a small beautiful moment in my life, and not to be concerned with the past or the anxiety that I might have.
Yeah. Bright, delicate, temporary. Is that a balloon? Somebody asked if that was a balloon in one of those other ones.
Yes, I've been using a lot of balloon because it's so fragile and it can pop and you can just blow another one.
Fun.
Yeah, it's fun. My practice
Nice.
is really fun.
Wonderful work, Tien. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, Demi McNulty. Where are you?
I'm here. I don't know if I'm pinned. Okay, now I am.
There you are. Okay. Hold on. Let's get to this. We got to talk about Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Tell us, give us the intro, then we'll talk about comic books and anime.
So, as a kid, my sister and I watched Sailor Moon a lot growing up, and we had like all the VHS tapes and everything. And I use it as a vehicle to explore my memories, I guess, and my psyche. So each component of this really explores that. I just use images from Sailor Moon to, I guess, represent specific memories because each one of these is a memory or just a moment, I guess, in my life, mainly from preteen years to my late teenage years. And I think Sailor Moon was a good way to represent it because she is a 14-year-old girl with her friends doing independent things without like her parents just finding herself. And so that was something that always resonated with me. And then back to the like other works, the 20 pieces, each one of those has a layer of screen printing fabric, which I would like stamp collaged linoleum prints onto, and then I'd methodically like draw onto it and get lost into my head, and I'd think about the memories and all the things that are embedded in these pieces, and I wrap them in fabric and tissue paper to like hold on to these memories the way that I do in my mind, because they're all very important to me. So
So the tissue paper you're using as the container and sort of wrapping, and that kind of act of wrapping and wrapping.
Yeah, the act of wrapping, and then some of them I sewed so that they're completely together. And then other ones I put little memories from like my room that I have with me. And I don't have like many items from my childhood here. They're all back at my dad's house. So I found certain things that I brought with me. Like recently my dad sent me some of my old CDs, and I found like an old mixtape from my best friend growing up. I can't even play the mixtape. I don't have a CD player. So like I'm wondering what's on it. And then like I had a friendship bracelet that was tied to my PS2 controller that my best friend made, and it was on my controller since I was 12 years old, and I took it off and put it on one of the pieces. So
is that Fall Out Boy? Is that what that CD
yeah,
is?
it's a Fall Out Boy CD. Because one of my friends passed away recently, and this is how this whole project started, and that was her favorite band. So that's an homage to her in that one.
In that one, so, but you just said the whole project is sort of inspired by that event. Is that right?
No, each
Or just
one
that?
is inspired by a different memory from my like teenage years.
Mhm.
Something that like I hold on to and I think about, and that is important to me. And a lot of them are based around friendship and just experiences I had with my peers growing up.
Mhm. So, can you, for those, I don't know Sailor Moon, I know some other comic books. Can you give us a synopsis of that particular story and that character?
Yeah, so she's a big crybaby who has trouble focusing on school. Um, she loves just playing video games and sleeping, which is very similar to me. And she gains confidence and independence and becomes a strong young woman from having her friends around and learning from the people around her how to grow up. And in one of my critiques, one of the other students said that she heard that when the artist created Sailor Moon, she thought of all of the characters as her friends, girls she wanted to grow up with. And they're these world-saving heroes who protect the earth, and at the same time they're teenage girls who have all of these faults, and that makes it really human and easy to relate to.
And so you just mentioned that you identify with the character, that first part of the character. You identify with the second part. Are you I believe you go save the world. I think, I
I
think
don't
all these
know, but it
seniors
gives
will
me
help us save the world.
confidence and it makes me happy. So
Yeah.
I think as a child, I always aspired to be like that.
Yeah.
There was one character who was a complete bookworm and was always very on top of everything and super smart, and I always wanted to be her. But then when I got older to this age, I'm like, no, I'm definitely the main character. This not main character, as I don't see myself as main character, but I see myself as the crybaby, always having to be pushed to do stuff. So
yeah. So we did have a change in the schedule, so we got a little bit more time at this point. I wanted to ask you about other characters, other comic book, other pop culture. Have you explored other characters in your work before this, or are you thinking about something after this that's not Sailor Moon?
So originally how this started was in my printmaking class, Chris asked me like what I would want to do. And this started in, I think, printmaking like 2 years ago. And I printed a bunch of my favorite like characters from anime and manga. And then I realized that the one that I resonated most with was Sailor Moon, and each of like the images and the books that I found all had like these beautiful illustrations and everything. So I thought it was the best way to represent my work. But from here, I've just been thinking about still using this. Last semester I distorted these images a lot, so I explored that, and it was less representational. So I think it's more of using this as a vehicle for my own thoughts than because I'm so rooted in pop culture and I know so many trivial things about just weird things like 90s TV shows and weird game shows like early 2000s MTV dating shows. So that is a huge part of me. So I think that's why I was using those.
So what you're telling us is that we shouldn't play Trivial Pursuit with you when it's like Trivial Pursuit 2000s. Like you'll
early
know
2000s.
all the answers.
I got you beat.
All right. Well, thanks, Demi. Where's Goodness? Goodness. Oh my goodness, Okoro.
Hey, Chris.
Class of 21. I'm just gonna call you out right now. Goodness was in our program a few years ago. She was a student of mine and other faculty here. We're so glad that you came back. It's good to have your perspective in the room. You've been out working in the field for a while, and now you've come back, and this is your project. What's in the gallery? There's a video, which I don't have, but we can take a look at the graphic.
Oh, that's okay. So this is just a fraction of a deeper research project focusing on tech security and just building reliable internet source. So there was a research in 3 different markets, the US, Germany, and China, to see how companies and their employees were coping post-COVID or during COVID, actually.
Mm-hmm. And so you chose to do an infographic, and then in the gallery, though, there's like, you put this into motion, right? You broke it apart and has a motion graphics presentation.
Yeah, so, building from this, I decided to explore it in animation form, playing around in After Effects, and visually telling a story guided by sort of the thematic music behind it, and presenting this in bits and chunks.
Mm-hmm. And you've been doing some of this kind of work, right? During your break from school, right? Infographic design, is that?
Yeah, so infographic has always been, although I didn't like it in school, it's sort of turned into something that I've loved.
I think that was my class.
Actually, I think it is.
I think it was. You're welcome.
Well, thank you. So, mostly I work with just text and numbers, or just, visually balancing, comparing, and isolating key focal points in something otherwise that would be just a text of data, a report presented internally to a team.
Okay, great. Well, thanks. You should all go check it out. Again, it's in the gallery as an animated piece. That's when it really comes alive, and it's really interesting to see it play out over time with motion. So, thanks, Goodness. Sarah Sampson, where are you? All right, Sarah, you're gonna have to remind me how to say this again. Cybersemic?
Yes, cybersemic.
All right, what is that?
Okay, so this project has a little bit of backstory to it. Over the summer, I came across this art and literary movement called Acemic writing. And it's basically an abstract form of writing. It's writing without words or language. And basically, I began thinking about how I could translate this aesthetic into the digital realm. So I started with texting and abstracting text messages, and that kind of evolved into abstracting FaceTime communication, and like really pulling apart the different elements of digital communication, and just thinking about how these systems kind of shape our human relationships, especially when we've been communicating digitally so much this past year. So just kind of trying to pick up like what can be perceived from these conversations when the language is removed. These pieces are videos, so you can see the text coming in, the audio recording playing by, and then the FaceTime conversation with just like the eyes pulled out, because like eye contact is something that we like use a lot in-person conversations, just to pick up on like how people are engaging with us. So yeah, just thinking about like what can be perceived from these conversations, and then also what is lost from communicating in the digital world, or what is lost in texting that, you know, FaceTime might offer you. So just kind of comparing the different ways in which we communicate and how that affects our relationships with people and our perception of the conversation.
Yeah. So relevant for these times. Interesting to think about eye contact digitally, some of the comments. Love this idea. Lots of those caret with the number three, like, you all know what that means, right? I had to look that one up again when I first saw it. I know what it means now. It's a heart turned sideways. What was my question? So I did have a question about this for you personally. Did working on this or looking at this from the research perspective, did it make you more conscious of how you communicate? And did that change? Like, when you were texting or when you were on FaceTime, did you think about these things that you were thinking about for this project and then change some habit or change some way of communicating?
That's a really interesting question. I think like watching these back, I've definitely picked up on, especially watching the FaceTime conversations. I think I've noticed my mannerisms a little bit more, which sometimes I was like, oh, I don't like that I do that. And I didn't realize that I did that, which I thought was kind of funny. But I don't know if the way that I've communicated really has changed. I guess I've more been thinking about the different ways that I communicate with different people. And I think it really opened my eyes to the ways I talk to people that I have different relationships with. So like, for example, this is me and my best friend Chip. Shout out to them because they're here tonight. And
Chippy, it
we
says in the
don't,
chat.
yeah, we don't always like keep up with each other on like a daily basis. So a lot of times when we talk, it'll be like very, very long blocks of conversation. Whereas with like my brothers who I talk to, like my brother Matt, we FaceTime like almost daily, and our conversations are very like quick, like lots of like one word responses, like long periods of silence. Yeah, so I think it just made me more aware of the different ways I communicate with different people.
We got to move on, but like quick answer. What's your proudest moment of being president of the AIGA student club?
Proudest moment?
Yeah, what do you most think about when you think about that position that you had?
I think just the community, I guess. I don't know, being able to be a part of the community, especially in the past year with everything that's happened with the department. I think we've really just shown how strong this community is, and it's so lovely to be able to be a part of that. And also, I know times running short, but I want to give a shout out to all my family that's here tonight. I love you guys. Thank you for coming and showing up. And thank you to everyone who participated in this project and allowed me to use our conversations for this project. It means a lot to me. I love you guys.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Chris.
Kaylee. Where's Kaylee? There you are.
Yeah, I think
Are
I'm
you
pinned.
Are you one of the 6? You're not one of the 6.
I'm one of the 6.
You are.
The 6 is
Okay.
my dad and his 5 siblings, which a lot of them are here tonight too. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
everyone.
Family.
So my thesis book is a collection of stories entitled The Stern Six, and my dad was one of 6 children growing up. And growing up in this household with these siblings and their friends and family sounds like a lot. Their dad passed when they were young, and they were raised by my grandma, their mother, Margaret, who is just a saint. All the stories I hear, I don't know how she did it. There were a lot of wonderful times and funny moments, and also some really hard moments and some wild fight stories. But my mom said it best. One time she told me, like, they might have given each other, a couple black eyes here and there, but they also would have given like the last dollar in their pocket or the shirt off their back to any of the others just without a second thought. So growing up, I just really loved hearing these stories, and it was something that I always looked forward to. And after losing my dad a year ago, these stories became even more important to me. And just as I tried to speak to and see his siblings and my family as much as I could, considering COVID, also just being able to call them more and having Zoom calls with them more often, I just was blown away with like just hearing all these stories and how fun they were and how funny it is to get them all together in a room and have them talk to each other. And also the pride that I felt in my family hearing them and the way that they value closeness and how, like, it sounds cheesy, but love really conquered all for them, and the lessons that I've learned through these stories. So they really share like their highs and lows with me, and they just value family above all. And I wanted to take this gift of the stories that they've shared with me and then share that with other people, and also use this as a way to catalog these moments and these memories as a keepsake for my family, as just a sign of my appreciation and my love for them and all that they've shown me and taught me through their stories. So I wanted to continue to show that to other people and have something so that our family can continue to pass these stories down and share them and remember them.
Right. Just gonna pause and everybody thinking about their family right now. Thanks for that, Kaylee. So is there a favorite story you can share with us? Is there, one of those black eye stories or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that one of my favorites, my uncle Johnny, he put it into the book. He's the one who wrote it for me. And it's called Desperados. That's what he titled it. One day, my grandma, she's coming home from church, and there's a cop car behind her, and he's following her with every turn. And she was thinking, like, why do I have a feeling that they're coming to my house right now when I'm on my way home from church? Why do I feel like they're going to pull into my driveway? And they did. The cop gets there, and there are 4 boys up on the roof with their BB guns shooting into the backyard. And they would use my dad as target practice. He would run like between the trees because he was the youngest sibling. And they had an elderly neighbor who I think found one in her pool and thought that they were shooting at her. And she called the cops. And it was the first time that the siblings said that they ever heard my grandma curse when she got out of the car that day. So they had to hand their BB guns off the roof to the cop. They wouldn't throw them down because they treasured them too much. They didn't want to break them.
Did they get them back?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I'm sure they did. I think they let them off fairly easy.
Yeah. Oh, it's always the younger sibling, right? It's like, here, you get to be the target.
Yeah, exactly. They always said that he was the best of all of them because he had a piece of all of them and he learned from each of them. But he also had to put up with a lot, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great story. Somebody says laughing and crying at the same time in the chat. Me too. What's that?
That's my aunt. Aunt Carrie.
Oh boy. Yeah, so I did want to ask you, we got a little about a minute left. So, you're your project is about storytelling, about these stories. And I was curious, why did you decide on a book format? And you may have just answered it earlier, but why a book format in the age of social media when we're all sharing stories digitally in so many different ways, you know, Facebook or Instagram or whatever? Why a book for this?
I think as I started going through a lot of their like objects and different objects that I hold on to and looking through old photos and just that act of discovering them, I wanted to have a more physical feeling to it. In the gallery, I also have some images printed out with stories on the back of them that make it a little bit more interactive, because I really wanted that material quality to feel like you're connected to this family in a way and you're looking through their past and their moments and really getting a glimpse, even just a short glimpse, into this family.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Kaylee.
Okay, thank you.
Megan Thomasman, poster designer.
Yep.
Where are you, Megan?
Hello.
Megan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's going quick for me, but I don't know. We got 3 more. Yeah. So what's your project about?
My ADHD is like an Instagram account as well as a book that talks about like my specific experiences with ADHD and like explaining them in a way that makes it like easier for someone who's not like who doesn't know a lot about ADHD to like make it easier for them to sympathize with someone who does. Or like my hope with this was that like someone would read these stories and then like begin to question if they had it and would like look into it and maybe discover something about themselves through this.
And so this is an Instagram account, you said? And
yeah, and the little QR code.
Okay.
You can scan it with your phone and it'll go to the account.
And so what's in the book? It's
the book is just like a compilation of like all the posts. Like each spread has like a different comic that I did, and then other spreads will have like fact posts that talk about like statistics and stuff. Like you don't outgrow ADHD, as in like people learn to deal with the symptoms and they may become like less pronounced because they get the help they need, but like it doesn't actually like disappear, you know, that kind of thing.
So I know you've done a lot of, as all the students have done a lot of different kinds of explorations throughout your years on different projects. How did you decide on the style of illustration for this project of, for this particular topic, right? It's very important to you and part of you. Where did this style come from? This color palette, the choice of treating the images this way?
I really wanted it to be fun and simple. I wanted the color palette to be a little bit weird. Like I knew from the beginning that like I wanted to have like these like weird colors, like blue skin and stuff like that, because I felt like the quirkiness kind of fits in with like ADHD, and I feel like it's a way for people to kind of like find a way into it. Like, oh, these are like quirky colors. Like that's kind of what the general populace kind of associates with ADHD, is like a quirky personality. So I wanted that to be kind of like a way for people to like understand it visually.
So the colors connect, the quirkiness of it. Yeah, somebody always loved your use of colors. There's all kinds of things in there. Thank you for sharing your experience. Reminds me of Screen Printing 2 final. I don't know what that is. I don't teach screen printing. What was the final in Screen Printing 2? Using weird colors?
Oh, what I did for mine was that I made like a little Bichon Frise dog in the style of Romero Brito, and he uses like
I don't know what any of that means. I heard dog.
He uses a lot of like fun colors, and they kind of look like stained glass windows.
Oh, fun. So you just mentioned dogs, and then I was reading in your resume, there's a few dog references. Can you talk about that mural project that you worked on for the animal shelter?
Oh, that was so much fun. I painted the walls with like different illustrations in the room that they keep the cats. because before it was like, you know, it was a little bit sad looking. The walls were white and like the lights were kind of like yellowy, and it didn't, it needed to be happy, you know. There's like suns and there's like pictures of cats and there's like hills on the walls, and it's like it just feels a lot more welcoming, especially to like potential like new pet owners that are coming in to look at cats. It's very welcoming for them.
Oh, and how did what's that color palette like, or what's the style of image that you created for that mural? Is it like this, or is it something very different?
It's more like blindless. There's still a lot of vibrant colors, but it's like there's no weird use of colors. Like things are the colors that they should be, like green hills and stuff. There's no like blue skin.
Not weird use of color. Okay, so everybody heard that. You know, if you need to adopt an animal, go to the Guilderland, right? It was Guilderland Animal Shelter, and adopt a pet, and you can see Megan's mural. All right, thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Bye. Next up, Rosina Torres. She's only going to talk about hanging graphic design work on the 3rd floor. That's it. I don't think we have a project here, right? Oh, maybe we do. Okay, let's take a look at this. We got a couple photos. What's in the gallery?
So right now I have in the gallery 2 photographs from my dream series that I started about a year ago. And really what started it all was a specific time in my life when a lot of things were happening. A shift happened within my REM sleep in my dreams, and they literally came to me as still photographs. So like I can picture out a dream and it looks like a photograph to me. And so I would wake up from these dreams and I have a record of how I was feeling, what was in the dream. And I basically started to recreate them and use them as a self-portraiture of myself, trying to understand elements in my life that I feel like I've repressed. And basically just like I'm such a what's the right word? I'm always looking out for other people. I always want to make sure everyone's fed, everyone's healthy, and I usually forget about myself. So creating these photographs is a way for me to look into myself and not forget about what I'm struggling with. And some of the photographs, I have no idea what they mean. I'm constantly asking other people, looking at dream journals, books, stuff like that to get a better understanding that I don't really have a grasp on, but other ones have come to light to me. And I think that's really important for my process and me as a person, just because I don't focus on myself so much. So it's been a growing process for me.
So, I love that you answered that, or you talked about how you don't know what some of these mean, because in your artist statement, you have something about finding answers. And so that was, I guess, part of my question is like, what answers have you found through capturing your dreams in this way? I mean, if any. I mean, maybe there's not an answer, but doing this body of work, has it revealed anything to you?
Yeah, it has. I feel like back in my high school years, when I was younger, just connections with family, I tend to push them back, and I don't really talk about them very much. They're a little difficult for me, and so little elements have been popping up within my dreams that I've started to notice, and maybe I should acknowledge them and I shouldn't compress them and push them away. And like it's important for me to keep growing and understanding what these things mean to me, how they shaped me as a person, rather than completely like expelling them from my life.
Mm-hmm. And so these are based on dreams. Do you keep a dream journal, something beside your bed that you're always, you wake up in the middle of the night and jot down notes or draw a quick sketch, or how do you take it from a dream state to like this, photograph?
Yeah, so most of the times I'll reach for my phone really quick and I'll have like a big thread in my notes. But if my phone's like not really near me, I'll reach down. I have my journal that I'm using for advanced photo. I'll jot something down really quick and then I'll go back afterwards and sort of process through that dream and then make a very like chicken scratch sketch of it. No one could know what's going on except for me.
Yeah, I think, I mean, is that, there's lots of ways that I think people experience dreams or dreaming. And so you wake up in the middle of the night. Do you ever remember them when you wake up in the morning? And like, because some people don't remember any dreams, right? Or you have this vague notion of what the dream was. And, like, how do you deal with that sort of lapse in memory of what you dreamt? Do you fill in gaps based on your personal experiences, or how do you resolve maybe some issues where you're not quite sure what the dream was?
Mm-hmm. I'm a really heavy sleeper and like nothing will wake me up. Literally the whole house could be coming down and I'll still be asleep. So it's really funny that I do wake up from my dreams like most of the time. But if I don't and I wake up in the morning afterwards, I have a pretty good memory. I find most of the times I remember very specific details or the whole entire dream, which I think is kind of different because you normally don't hear that. So that's why I was one of the reasons why I started this, because I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think there's also that question of, there's some common dreams, right? Like, particularly these portraits of, like, we've all had that dream where you show up to class and you're naked, right? Or you don't have pants on. Like, when you talk about this work in critique or with friends, do you ever find that other people have similar kinds of dreams, or are these very unique to you?
Yeah, most of them are very unique, and I feel like not a lot of people have these types of dreams. There's been a couple, one I think in particular of me wrapping sheets around my stomach and trying to get out the window like an escape. I think that's pretty cliche, but overall, I feel like they're very specific where it's hard for like it to be so generalized, but then it's also nice to hear others like interpretations of it too, because then that helps me try and understand it a little bit better too if I'm not so in tune with it.
Right. Somebody comment. Let's say the milk dream. I don't know what that dream is. What's the milk dream? Is that you specifically?
It was an advanced one for photography.
Everybody loves that one, apparently.
I tortured Allie and Demi. I took them out an hour from Albany and made them lay nude in the snow and had dirt all over them and poured milk into their mouth.
Oh, that's where you have second thoughts about going to college in the Northeast. Like, oh, I should have picked that school in Florida. So some people are very influenced by their day and no doubt have dreams based on what they experienced during the day. So I'm pretty sure this conversation is going to influence some dreams tonight. So thank you for that, Rosina.
Thank you.
Lastly, Christian Weckler. Did I get it right? Where are you?
I'm here. I don't know if you can see me. I can't
can.
see myself.
I can. Let me see if I can pin, add spotlight. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Hi.
There we go. What's in the gallery? Are you the first person to ever use the window as part of your presentation in the gallery?
I'm not. Actually, Noelle Hercheg actually went 2 years before me. And I think I saw her that she was here. So shout out to Noelle for leading the way.
All right.
Yeah, so my work deals with using the material process to reference memory. So a lot of times I unpack my personal memory Sometimes it's more about the process of remembering and how that is symbolized in the process of making. But this piece is more about like memory images or images we see in our mind that have a very strong false nostalgia but we are unsure of their untraceable source. So I have had a lot of images like that, where I have this really strong nostalgic feeling towards them, but I don't know if I actually ever really experienced them. So it's kind of like tapping into this almost like this other world. So for this project, I started by trying to unhinder myself and draw the image that I was seeing as quickly as I could and just kind of block it out as much as I could. And then from there, I ended up translating that drawing into a bigger drawing. I printed that drawing onto 4 etching plates, etched photographs into those drawings, made prints from them, and then it kind of just evolved into this this diptych that's hanging together.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's comments about hearing about the process, the accumulation of drawing objects, print. So that is a question I have. You just described a very involved process, lots of different kinds of media. How do you decide what to try next, or how do you decide when to stop? You know, because there, you know, if you're doing printmaking and drawing and photographs and tracings, and how do you know when? It could be endless. How do you know when to stop?
Yeah, I think it was actually Gina Occhiogrosso told me that you could spend your entire life on one image, and I've been reflecting on that idea a lot. And yeah, so drawing is such a primal thing, so that's always where I start with, and it's always the best way to kind of just get things out from the internal to the external. And then what I love about intaglio printmaking is that it combines so many other media, and drawing is so integral to intaglio. So I kind of go there to start combining photographic elements and drawing. And then in the printing process, I start becoming really interested in the paper itself. So here I'm printing on rice paper, which has a really translucent quality and a really malleable quality. And then they start referencing the ways that I was exposed to storytelling through books as a child. So they kind of start becoming these documents of my own story that I'm trying to kind of tell myself, or trying to create a story without really knowing any of the details.
So there's this other example. So this is the other end of the gallery. So just in case you all go to the gallery, the window is the front, and this group of work is the other side. So what's this about?
So this is kind of in a similar thread. I'm just working a lot more literally. So I'm kind of deconstructing the idea of photography being a physical manifestation of a memory. So I'm using slide film, and I'm rephotographing family photographs. I'm photographing spaces that I have a connection to in my memory, as well as rephotographing childhood drawings, and then adding those with the physical printouts of reprinted family photographs, physical pieces of drawings, physical pieces of other materials that are kind of embedded with this kind of memory meaning, and then collaging them all together. I usually collage them on a light table so I can see through the film, and then I scan them and printed them for the, for the show.
So could you, I don't know exactly how, these are large though. These aren't like the actual size of film, right? So how big are these?
So these, like, yeah, the prints are about like 20 by 26, and the slide collages are very small. They're like probably like an inch, 2 inches square around there. Yeah.
Wow. Lots of comments. Love hearing about the process. Beautiful photos, Christian. There are lots of comments. Susan's talking about memory, right? And a lot, we've heard a lot tonight about memory and individual experiences, and that is definitely something that we're thinking a lot about. It's obviously coming through in a lot of the work that we've seen tonight. Thanks, Christian. you have the last word. Any final thoughts?
Just
nobody else.
How honored I am to be in this moment, in this department, in this senior class. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. And that's pretty much it for the event. It did fly by for me. I'm gonna go eat some cake. I don't know about the rest of you. Zoom etiquette says that I'm, as the host, I'm supposed to like stay on until the last person leaves. I don't know about that, but that's the event. That's the show. That's our opening. Congrats to all the seniors. There are lots of comments, and I would agree. You all have done some amazing work and talked so eloquently about what you've created. And, you know, we're so proud of all of you. We really are so excited for what comes next for all of you, you know, and where will you be in a few years? What will you be doing? We can't wait to see what that is. For all of you in the meeting tonight, please go to the gallery, check it out. It is up, all the work is up through May 1st. So when you do get a chance, you know, go see it in person. Some of these, probably all of these really need to be experienced in the gallery and, you know, up close to really appreciate some of the details. So thank you all so much for attending. It's Friday, it's the weekend. Go celebrate with your friends and family. I love that the students all got dressed up just like it was just a regular in-person, you know, opening, you know, so proud, so proud. Have a great night. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Congrats, everybody. Congratulations.
You guys are awesome.
Woo. Yay.
My hands are getting tired. I'm getting calluses.
Great job, Chris.
Thanks.